Welcome to PhotoNewsTV. I'm your host, Will Prentice, and today I'm bringing you another product from Cactus that we have available that most photographers will want to keep in their bag. If you recall, in a past few episodes, I talked about how to use the Cactus V6. What a lot of people don't know, though, is that Cactus makes their own flash, and the magic of the flash is it has the V6 transceiver built in. So if you're looking for a remote flash, all you need is one V6 as well as one RF60 flash. So the flashes come in a protective nylon bag. Unfortunately, there's no belt loop. And a little stand. The nice thing is you don't really need the stand because there's a 1/4-20 thread right in the side of the RF60. So you can fit this on almost any light stand, or you can even put a tripod plate on there because it's the same thread that's in the bottom of your camera and mount it onto any tripod. So it's very flexible that way for mounting. Few other great features of the RF60. There's a USB port as well as a 3.5mm sync port right in the side. So the USB is for firmware updates. That way it'll always stay operable with future Cactus. It's another great thing with the Cactus system that a lot of transceivers, they release a new one. It's not backwards compatible all the time. Cactus from the V5 and up are all compatible, and the USB port just allows you to maintain that compatibility. Full tilt and swivel on the head, as well as a built-in wide-angle diffuser and a bounce card, which at this price point in the $200 to $230 range is very rare. So those are great little features to have in there. A couple of other little features. There is an optional battery pack, and Cactus has their battery pack. It's Canon compatible as well, so it'll work on the Canon 600, the 580. Same plug-in, runs on 8 AA batteries. So with the 8 there's 4 inside the RF60. So with 12 batteries, you've got a lot of runtime. At full power, you're looking at about 300, 350 pops with the power pack on there. So let's look at some of the operating modes on the Cactus RF60. It's really simple. There's basically 3 operating modes. There's local, which means you're putting it on your camera and you're able to use it as a manual flash on camera. There's master mode, so it will control other RF60 flashes or V6s. Then there's slave mode. So quickly running through, on local mode, you've got power control and you've got manual zoom control as well. So you press the plus minus buttons and you can adjust the output. If you press next, you can adjust the zoom position of the head. It's really that simple. Every time you hit the shutter, the flash fires at the power and the zoom angle you've set. So nice and easy, very consistent output, which is exactly what most pros and production photographers need when you're looking for that consistent output from a fairly portable system with also lots of power. There's a guide number of 56 at 105 millimeters with the RF60, so there's a lot of juice there for most job requirements. Press mode. So master mode, just like on the V6, you've got 4 groups. Now you can also rename these if you want to. I'm not going to go through it. It's pretty easy in the manual, but say you're doing a 4-light setup, you've got main, fill, hair light, backlight. You can actually pick some of the predetermined names that are in the RF60's menu systems so you can identify your flashes, which makes it a little easier for some photographers. We all have our own little systems, so whatever makes the job easier and more consistent every time we go out. So in master mode, you can control each individual group. You also have channel controls. And so I can adjust the power of each one individually just by pressing group and then power up or down. As well as you have master power control, just like on the V6. So it still maintains ratios as you're shooting. Then the next option, so when we hit mode and go into slave mode, again, 16 channels. Your power is now adjusted remotely. You can adjust it on here, but when you've got a Cactus V6, and I'll show you this shortly, the V6 takes over the power control. So I can have a V6 on camera, and as I adjust the power on the V6, it'll adjust the power on the RF60 remotely. So this is brilliant. If I want to put this on a stand, uh, say 30, 40 feet up above a basketball net and get that shot of a basketball player jamming the ball, I can have these flashes set safely out of the way and well away from my camera and still be able to adjust power and fire them right from my V6 attached to my camera. Those are your basic features of the RF60, so it's fairly simple to use. There are some other more advanced features which you don't get in a flash at this price point that I've been really happy with. So if we quickly run through the menu, so we've got channel settings, we press up and down to change the channel, press next to go to the next setting. So you can actually set a delay. So if you wanted to, you could have 4 RF60s, which each of them set up to their own delay on a long exposure, get some really creative effects. There's also 2 optical slave modes, S1 and S2, where S1 fires on the first light it catches. So it could be a pre-flash even that's firing it. This is handy if you say the batteries die in your trigger and you've got to use your pop-up flash, or you've got it somewhere sitting where you just can't get a trigger to it for some reason, but you can get light to it. Say you're working with your studio strobes using it as a kicker. Optical slave fires every time with S1. S2, it ignores the pre-flashes and only fires with the main flash. There's also quick flash, which allows the RF60 to recycle faster, but it does cost you some of your power output. So um, might be handy when you're shooting, say, pets that move too fast. Just bear in mind that you're going to lose about half of your output when quick flash is turned on, unless, of course, you've allowed the time for the flash to fully recharge. You can turn that annoying beep on or off. There are times where you need it. And there's also a sleep mode. So this is a really important feature in that you can keep the flash awake for as long as you need. So if I'm set up at a remote location where it's going to take me a long time to get over to the flash, I have 60 minutes of sleep time. So that flash will stay going. I don't have to keep hitting the test button on my V6 to keep the flash alive. So I generally run at about 15 minutes because that's how most of my setups are. But I've had a couple where I've had to set the flash up ahead of time and just leave it, at 60 minutes so I can get back to my shooting position. Backlight, so it drains power, but you can adjust how long the backlight stays on when you use it. So let's quickly run through the menu items when you're using it as a local flash. You can set your flash delay, press next. So optical slave can be set S1 or S2 depending on your needs. Quick flash, the beep, set your sleep timer and your backlight timer. So if we look at some of the features available when you're in master mode, we'll press menu. So adjust your channels. You've got 16 channels that you can select from. You can set your delay, your optical slave, the quick flash recycling, turn the beep on and off, sleep, and backlight. The multi-mode built in, which gives you that stroboscopic effect where it's pop, 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 pop. If you press the multi button to bring it up, you can press next until you get to the settings at the top, and you can adjust how many pops and the delay in between. So you can experiment with this. There is a guide in the manual that shows you how many pops per second at what settings. It's a great thing to have handy if you're going to do this. Really great effect, especially with portraits. I also know a lot of sport shooters who use this as well. It looks like a multiple exposure, but it's really just one. So then when we hit the test button, it fires 3 quick flashes there with 5 milliseconds in between. And another great feature in the multi, the first time that I press multi, you'll notice it says HSS, which is high-speed sympathy. For those who recall, the V6 has TTL pass-through on camera. If you put RF60s in HSS, which is their high-speed sympathy mode, you can shoot with a high-speed sync on your camera and still get the proper output from your RF60 flashes. So it's an absolutely brilliant idea. And again, at this price point, really blew me away with that feature. Makes catching things like water splashes so much easier by having that built in, instead of investing in a TTL system, which you're looking at about $250 just for the trigger, not to mention the flashes to go on top of that. So for the price, or less than the price of one TTL trigger, the RF60 has high-speed sympathy built in. Phenomenal idea. I'm glad Cactus put that in there. So here I've got my V6 and my RF60. So a couple of the great features that are added in here are, with my V6, I can adjust the power on my V6, and when I half press the shutter, or if I press all the way, it transmits the information over to the RF60. So I can dial my power all the way up, all the way down, and everything is transmitted. Now, another really great feature because the RF60 has manual zoom control, if I press the click wheel on the V6, I can now adjust the zoom head position, and you can see that moving now at 105 millimeter, which gives me a much tighter beam coming out of the RF60, or if I'm shooting wide angle, I can just dial that back out. So again, it's just by clicking the wheel, I can go between power control and zoom control. So if I'm shooting with a prime too, it's great because I can match the output of my RF60 to my prime lens without any other messing around. So very flexible system, and makes it just that much easier to use. So don't forget to take a look at the V6 videos to see how great the V6 is. There's so much in it. It took 5 videos just to cover the features that are offered by the V6 wireless transceiver. And the RF60 is a perfect match. Great system. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that. I think most photographers are going to find that the RF60 meets a need that you had and you weren't quite sure about the way to get to the solution. It can be pretty expensive if you're adding other trigger brands, or if you have to buy a flash and a trigger. So being able to use the RF60 as a fully manual remote flash with that 150 meter range with the V6 system is absolutely brilliant. It saves you a lot of time and complexity. As I showed you, it's very easy to use. So it also cuts down on not just the gear that you've got to carry, but also the manuals. To stay on top of other information, we've got lots of great video content coming. Don't forget to go click, there it is, the subscribe button. Click that, or the little logo, the PhotoNewsTV logo. Click on that. Takes you to our subscribe page. Follow along. If you've got any suggestions for future content, leave a comment below or send us an email, info@photonews.ca. If you like this, don't forget to click the little like button down below. So thanks for your time, and happy shooting.